What up? I'm B, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things true crime and current events. Today, it is another episode of what I like to call Crafty Crimes, where you and I sit down, we do a little crocheting together, and we talk about something related to the true crime world. Today's video was actually inspired by someone on Instagram who we were going back and forth talking about serial killers and the women who are with them, like how are you married to somebody who has done these horrible things? So she ended up suggesting that I make a video about it, and so that is what I'm doing. Thank you so much, Grace, for this idea because it was a super interesting topic to look into. Before we get started, crimes are always horrifying, but this topic is especially bleak. Researching it, I felt some kind of way, so just want to prepare you for that headspace kind of before we get into it. Yeah. If you missed my last Crafty Crime video, it is all about Gabby Hanna, her history of drama, and how she may have committed an actual crime. So if you're more into hearing about YouTubers and how they relate to the true crime world, definitely go check that one out. I will put a card, and if you've already watched it, stay right here. Let's get started. When it comes to serial killers and their romantic partners, a lot of us just hear about the women who end up being attracted to men who have committed disgusting crimes, but that have been highly publicized. These people have notoriety, and so after these serial killers or abusers are in jail, a lot of women will flock to them and, write love letters, want to be married to them, whatever. That is a whole different ballgame. Today we're going to be focusing on women who were married to men while they were committing these horrible crimes, and do they know about it? Are they involved? If they don't know, how could they not? It's complex. These women who are in love with serial killers or abusers are not all the same. They come from a wide variety of backgrounds. They have different experiences. They're like any other group of women or group of people. They're like serial killers themselves. They all come from varying backgrounds and different childhoods, and they all have different experiences. So there's not just one type of woman who is attracted to a man with a darker side. And I found a few theories that may explain why these women are attracted to these types of men or why they may decide to be with them. Now, there's an overall biological theory where women are attracted to men who are seen as powerful, manly, aggressive, just kind of subconsciously because they're seen as like a prime example of a man who can protect them, who's strong, who will give them like powerful offspring who are more likely to survive in the world. And that's just kind of on a subconscious level, just kind of a general theory. But we've got some more specific ones that are disturbing. There is a sexual paraphilia, and a paraphilia is a condition where someone is intensely aroused by or attracted to things that are either abnormal or risky, highly dangerous. They just see that and they are like a moth to a flame. Like they are drawn to these types of people. So the sexual paraphilia is called hybristophilia, and there are two types. There is passive and aggressive hybristophilia. Now, passive hybristophilia is when a woman is attracted to a man who is committing violent crimes such as murder, rape, armed robbery, torture, stuff like that. So they're attracted to the idea of their partner being involved in those types of activities, but they don't have any desire to partake or be involved themselves. They just get off on the thought that their partner is doing those things. And a really interesting example of this passive type of hybristophilia is the case of sister wives aspirationalists Cameron and Janice Hooker. Cameron and Janice are something else. They, together, kidnapped a woman named Colleen Stan, and how they did this was Colleen was hitchhiking down into California, and she was an experienced hitchhiker. She'd already turned down 2 rides that day, but she saw, like when Cameron and Janice pulled over for her, she was like, okay, it's a husband and a wife. They have a kid in the back seat. This is going to be a safe ride. They picked her up and then drove her to a secluded area where Cameron got out of the car and threatened Colleen at knife point to put her head in a box. He locked her head in there and then eventually moved her into a full-size box that they kept under their bed, and she was kept there for up to 23 hours per day. They only let her out when Cameron wanted to torture her with, whips, with electrocution, or eventually by raping. You see, Janice was so involved in this that she had an agreement with her husband initially that he could not rape Colleen. It was off the table, and then they kept her for several years, so eventually she decided that she would be okay with that. She would allow him to do that. So that was the only time she was let out. Or she was let out when they wanted her to babysit their 2 children. Insane. So anyway, Janice obviously had knowledge of the crimes. She knew that there was a woman being kept in a box under her bed, but she was okay with it. The only reason that they ended up getting caught is because Janice got jealous, because Cameron said that he wanted to take Colleen on as a second wife. So that put a bee in her bonnet, and she helped Colleen escape. And then shortly thereafter, she called the police, told them about what was happening, and agreed to testify in court against her husband in exchange for full immunity. And she served no jail time and now claims that she was a victim of her husband as well. So that's passive hybristophilia. You know about it, you think about your partner committing these crimes, and you don't have a problem with it. You just don't have any desire to actually hurt anybody with them. Now, the second type of hybristophilia is aggressive. And so this is where the partner is obviously excited about their partner committing these crimes, and they want to be involved somehow. Some women, they don't want to engage in armed robbery, rape, torture. They don't want to engage in those crimes, but they will help cover up for their husband or their partner. If the police come around with questions, no, he's a perfect man. They love getting off on having intimate knowledge of these crimes and being part of it somehow. But there are some women who actually want to be involved, and they will kind of take charge in certain situations or just really play an active and willing role in these crimes. And for this, we have the pedophilic dynamic duo, Gerald and Charlene Gallego. Together, they abducted 9 women and 1 man, 6 of whom were under the age of 18. They raped them, they abused them. Together, they engaged in the assault together at the same time. And when they were done, took them out and they murdered these 10 people. They did it in various ways. Some of them were bludgeoned to death with a hammer or with a shovel. Some of them were shot multiple times in the head, and one of them was even strangled. From what I read, Charlene did not participate in the murder. She left that up to Gerald, but she was very much an active part of the assault. Even more disgustingly, at one point before they started committing the rape and murder together, Gerald had brought home a dancer to engage in a threesome with him and his wife. And during the threesome, he would not let the 2 women touch each other. They were only allowed to touch him. So they do that. They have a great time. The dancer ends up spending the night, and the next day Gerald went to work. And when he came home, he found the dancer and Charlene in bed together. As an act of retaliation for this betrayal, Gerald temporarily withheld sex from Charlene, and instead he openly sodomized their 14-year-old daughter. Charlene had nothing to say about it. She did not stop it. She apparently had no problems with her husband doing this. But anyway, how they ended up getting caught was somebody saw his friends getting abducted by Charlene and Gerald, and he ended up getting their license plate number and reporting it to the police. The two of them evaded capture for a short time, but Charlene did eventually turn state's evidence in order to be charged with a lighter sentence. She served about 16 years in jail and has since been released, and now she claims that she had no desire to be part of any of these crimes and that she herself was a victim of Gerald. And that's a common thing in hybristophilia from what I know. These women, they're aware of these crimes. Some of them even help commit them. They are ready to go, like, sign me up, let's do this. And then when they get caught or when they get sick of it or get jealous or whatever, they'll turn the husband in and claim that they were a victim as well. It's a very common thing. So anyway, Charlene was a victim, claimed she wanted nothing to do with this, and she was coerced by Gerald. He abused her. But to be honest, I think that Charlene told the truth best in her own words when she stated, quote, "We had this sexual fantasy, see? So we just carried it out. I mean, like, it was easy and fun and we really enjoyed it, so why shouldn't we do it?" End quote. Disgusting. Now, there is a third unrelated theory as to why a woman would be with a man who commits violent acts, and that is that these women have a heightened sense of insecurity. And this isn't just like your normal insecurities that every single one of us face. This is pretty extreme stuff. Many of us, seek validation from others, but with these women, it is like they need it. They need the validation, they need the security, they need to know that they are wanted. So you have this thing where serial killers or serial rapists, abusers, people in this camp, a lot of them get off on the idea that behind the scenes, they are doing these disgusting things. They are monsters. They can get away with these horrible things. They get to do whatever they want, but nobody knows about it. And to everybody else, they just appear like a family man. They have a wife, they have kids, they're just the perfect, role model member of society, but you don't know what I really do. You don't know who I really am. They get off on fooling people, playing the part. And then you combine it with these women who just want validation, they want love, they don't want to be alone. And so you have this mutually beneficial relationship where she helps him conceal his true identity and he helps her by feeling loved, even if it's a bad relationship, because a lot of the insecure women who don't know about the crimes, don't have any desire to be a part of the crimes, even though it's a bad relationship, they still have somebody with them. So, in addition to this mutually beneficial relationship, a lot of these women these highly insecure women are very easily manipulated, and they can often live in denial about their partner's crimes. Even if they don't know exactly what's going on, they may have a sense of something's wrong, something's dark, but they just brush it away. A lot of them think that, he has this dark side, he has these bad things about him, but he loves me, he's with me, and I can change him. I can look past his checkered past and change him for the better. We all know that doesn't work, but One of the best examples that I was able to find kind of like the most detail on was wife of famed cross-dressing serial killer and rapist Jerry Brudos, Darcy. Jerry was a bad husband, like just awful. He never abused Darcy, but he was just suspicious. He was a weird dude. He made Darcy do all of her housework naked and in high heels, even when they had kids. Like, even when they had kids, he would tell her that she had to do this. And he also would not allow her into either the attic or the garage without his permission. He actually installed an intercom system. And if she wanted to go in there while he was in there, like, oh, hey, honey, dinner's ready, she had to get permission. She had to go through the intercom. Most surprisingly of all, at one point he brought home an actual human breast. We now know that this was the breast of one of his victims, but he brought home a breast, cast it in resin, and used it as a paperweight in front of his wife. And to any of us, to you or me, we might hear those things and be like, 911, hello, I'm calling the police. You have a human breast. What's going on? But these women, they live in denial. And Darcy, she grew up in a pretty average home. She had parents who loved her. It's like, how do you get in this spot where you're seeing these strange things, you're experiencing these weird things, and yet you don't say anything, you don't do anything? She was with him until the day that he was convicted. So, kind of an explanation for this, if we look a little bit further, is that Darcy met Jerry when he was 23 and she was 17. Her parents did not like this dude. They were like, he's weird, he shouldn't be dating you, we don't want you to see him, but we all know how that works out. So she started dating him, and shortly thereafter she became pregnant, and her and Jerry decided to get married, and then he proceeded to move her an hour away from her parents, which isn't that far, but it's enough. It's enough distance to be able to control someone and manipulate them, especially when they are 17. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know many women, let alone 17-year-olds, who could really take charge in a situation where you know something's up. You know that this doesn't feel right, but your husband has a dark side, and it's scary, and he has all this women's underwear, and you don't know where it came from, and he gets really mad for no reason, and you just don't know what's going on. So that's a horrible situation to be in anyway, but when you add to the fact that this girl was 17 when they met, it just adds a whole new layer. So it's hard to believe, but it makes sense. You can see how she ended up in that situation, and eventually she did kind of gain a backbone and be like, well, I'm not gonna do this housework naked, I'm gonna go out with my friends, I'm gonna do what I want, but she still stayed married to him. And that's the case for a lot of these women. They see the darker side and they brush it away, or they ignore it because they rely on this person, they need this person. And despite what he does to other people, or what they may think that he does to other people, it's okay enough to stay in this relationship, and I'm gonna stay here because I need the validation, I need the love. And it's really sad. But that is all we have for the theories as to why a woman may be attracted to, stay with, and spend her life with a violent offender of this nature. I thought it was really interesting, but it is still a pretty new area that psychologists are looking into. So if you have any other information, let me know. I want to read your input and your comments. And if you enjoy videos like this, please do let me know down below as well. Love reading your comments and seeing the content that you want created, so that way I can do it for you. While you're leaving that comment, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, I would really appreciate it. That would be great. And if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much again to Grace for suggesting I look into this because it was extremely fascinating. And thank you so much for watching. Remember to go out there and be the voice of reason in a world full of crazy. Bye.